Hi, everybody. Okay, wow, what a week. I have been saying for a while this year, probably right since January, right up until maybe June 21st, that it felt like we were all in some kind of a cocoon, just waiting to kind of burst forth in a new creative expression of ourselves. And it seems to me that that has kind of burst through this week. It certainly has for me. I'm seeing it happen for others that I know. Hope it is for you too. So I've suddenly found myself in all these conversations about unleashing creative genius flow and how that works. So I thought I'd do a live video for you and talk about that today. So, okay, I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday as we were talking about it that, and I'm going to use writing as the example, but you could apply it to painting, art, photography, dancing, anything really, anything you're going to create, designing a house, creating a space, dressing in clothes, it can just, it's anything, unleashing creative genius flow. But I'm going to use writing as my example for that. Okay, so the first thing I said about that this week is that when I try to write, and I try to write from myself, okay, what I think I'd like to write, or even what I'm feeling I want to write, I can combine both of those. And I watch the words come out, and I think, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's kind of so so. It doesn't like float my boat in any way or whatever. So then what I do is I lean back into what I call infinite flow, or genius flow, let's call it. It's as if somewhere, somehow, what you want to write, what you want to paint, what you want to dance, what you want to sing, etc., create, is already created somewhere. And you have been the source of that. You have, in some way, created it. And maybe the infinite has created it with you, but it's not like channeling. It's not like something else did it. It's you. It's very much you as it comes through. But when you lean back into the flow, that's how I describe it. Anyways, you might have a different movement of direction, but I lean back into the flow, and the infinite flow, the genius flow, just comes through me. And it's very, very different. The writing comes out different for me. It kind of has a sort of musical cadence or poetry to it. It reaches out and it touches and it stirs and it thrills when I put those words together like that. So it's a real sense of, here, and I surrender my thinking brain. So when I surrender my thinking brain, who thinks, oh, I'll write this, I'll write about that, I'll write about that, because it's got a logical orientation, progression to it. And when I write, I don't want a logical orientation, progression to it. I want deeply stirring, highly emotive, amazingly transformative, even transcendent would work for me. I want it to be a sensory experience. And I think that's what most creators want. They want people to look at their painting or their photograph or their dancing or listen to their singing, and they want them to be captivated and enthralled by it and let it take them to a new place inside themselves. I mean, why do we do what we do? Why do we create, if not for to stir, to elevate, to inspire, to uplift people into a new place within themselves? And so, in order to do that, I have to come out of what I think I want to say as me, as just me, and I have to lean back into the genius flow and lean back into the infiniteness of me, us all, and then let it just come through me. So if I gave you a demonstration of that just quick, so if I, let's see, okay, so I'm writing a book called Becoming Infinite. So if I wanted to say something about becoming infinite, if I wanted to say it from me, I would say, well, becoming infinite is one of the most joyful things you can ever do. It's really extraordinary. I mean, it's It's so easy. Everybody thinks, oh, that sounds really weird. That sounds really way out there. That sounds really complicated. Oh my God, I'd have to have breakthroughs after breakthroughs. I'd have to learn a whole bunch of things. That's what they think when they think about becoming infinite. But really, it's so easy. It's so simple. And once you're there, it's like, ah, easy peasy. Okay, now that wasn't bad, right? That actually turned out pretty good, I think. But now if I lean back into the genius flow and see what wants to be said on the same topic. The infinite you is enthralling a universe of ideas, is captivating a collective of wild wonders, is pulling gems out of the air and breathing wonder into the world. it's like it's like it takes on this extraordinariness. So even you could talk about something very ordinary, but when you lean back into genius flow, into the infiniteness of you, you make the ordinary extraordinary. You make the simple sublime. You make life be captivating for yourself and for others as we dance together in this brilliant, beautiful, bountiful creation of a world that is just too breathtaking to imagine. So you can see the difference. You might have enjoyed both, maybe even enjoyed the first one more than the second one, but you can see the difference that I'm pointing to. It has a musical cadence. It reaches deep. It moves you in a different way. And like I said, both can be good, but I love, love, love writing, creating in Genius Flow. Hey, Robert, thank you. Thanks for that. That's wonderful. So I'm talking about unleashing creative genius flow, and so again, it's this surrender the thinking brain and lean back into the flow that wants to come through you, as if you've already written it somewhere, as if you're a part of a universal brilliance that is trying to come through you. And when you do that, it's amazing. Now, those are a couple of the ways I would talk about it. Every person may have a unique way to access this for themselves. I remember interviewing a friend of mine a while back who's just this amazing photographer. Hi, Colin. And this woman who was this amazing photographer, she did photographs of the Sedona landscape and of flowers and of all kinds of things. And I said to her, what is it that you do that makes the difference of your photographs from what, normally somebody just takes a picture of the landscape? And she said, I stop, I take a deep breath, and I get in relationship with the landscape, with the magic, with the beauty, with the wonder. I feel, it's a sensory experience. I feel my relationship. And then I invite the picture, and then I press the button on my camera. And that kind of makes perfect sense to me. It's this full body sensory experience that you have when you, as I say it, lean back into genius flow. In a way I could say, I'm making my relationship with the universe, with the infinite, with the genius field, with the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, call it whatever you want. And when I lean back, then I have this sensory, full body relationship with it all. So I don't think genius just comes like ka-ching out of the brain. So maybe it can, but I think that there's a kind of genius universe all around us in the air we breathe. And that I used to talk about, like, we could close our eyes and reach out and pluck an idea from the genius universe, like plucking an apple from the apple orchard. And now it's much more closer to us because of a lot of work we've done recently on bringing the field more sentient live, bringing the infinite within us and around us and into the earth and all of those kind of things. So now when I want to reach it, I don't have to like go somewhere separate from myself to get it. We are all that already. And so what happens is that why I'm talking about is leaning back into the genius flow. It's kind of like leaning back into a whole body, whole being, almost allness experience of being with the field completely. And then letting that just come through. Letting the flow take you, as opposed to you trying to write the words, or you trying to paint the picture, or you trying to dance the dance. So those are a couple of things so far that I wanted to point out as ways. I think there's one more, and I think this is one I've experienced when I'm speaking, like I'm standing on a stage and speaking, or when I'm working with somebody who wants to sing a song, or act, or something like that, right? Okay, so what happens when you do that is that you become that which wants to happen. Again, it's this surrender of the mind, this surrender of the small self. And what happens is that you become something other. I would say you could say you become the wonder, you become the magic, you become life, you become, I mean, it's different every time. But when you want to speak, again, it's like, for me, like, oh, there I am, there we are, there it is. Do you know, it's not an I thing, really. It's a big collective genius flow thing. So it doesn't become like an individual experience, like me creating something that I hope will make a difference. It's done in this more collaborative, collective field of flow, and it's all there ready to come through. So there you go. Those are some of my tips for unleashing the genius flow. Oh, I think I would say one more thing, especially for this week, because post June 21st, we seem to have all come out of the cocoon I mentioned at the beginning of the call. And that's been in place for a lot of us throughout this year, like this feeling of I really want to find who I am and what I want to do now, and I want to break through something new, but there's just no oomph, no energy, no drive for it. When is it going to come? And then this week, boom, it seems to have burst forth. So what I would say about that, it's the unleashing of your super creative expression. And what I'm seeing about it when I'm seeing people unleash it, it's always been in them. Like, for example, mine, I'm going to write a book called Becoming Infinites. Well, boy, that is so me. And it's been in me for years, that no surprise, really. And yet, I couldn't even get to that 2 weeks ago. I couldn't, I was like, should I write a book? Nah, I don't have any energy to write another book. It was kind of like that. Whereas all of a sudden this week, kaplooey, there it is. Now I'm writing 2 books. I'm writing one called Star Maker and another called Becoming Infinite. And so it's how do you find that? If you're looking for it, how do you find it? If you even go back to when you were a kid and you made up imaginary stuff, you made up how you were going to dream life up for yourself. You had ideas of things, and you've had ideas even in your adult life of things, and then sometimes you went for it and sometimes you put him back in the treasure box and let him lie for a while, let him stir and germinate a bit before you were ready to do them. Well, what happens in this unleashing of this genius new expression of us is that it kind of wants to break out of the treasure box and go wild. And go like wild crazy, like free flowing, lots of ideas, doing more than one thing at a time, But again, I'll say it's not necessarily something you've never thought of before. It may be something you've always had a talent for, but it unleashes. Like I would have said a year ago, I was talking about, I was doing webinars and stuff, I'm becoming infinite, but I wasn't publicly posting about that, at least not that I remember. I was being very careful about what I publicly said. And then in this, I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to share away everything I want to share. I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm just going to take great delight in it. And that's the unleashing part. It's the wild part. You just let it come, let it flow, let it go, and let it express through you. And then lean back into your genius flow. Step into your infiniteness, your connectedness to the earth, to nature, to life, to the oceans, to the universe, whatever it is that lights you up from the inside out. And then you allow this wellspring from the treasure chest inside to burst through you, just like, there it goes. And yeah, Coleman said, I feel I need time to germinate at the moment. Yeah, to soak it all in. I get that. Yeah, and that's okay too. We're all in different places usually, but generally I find that right now everybody's looking for some, like they're feeling this sense of newness and not knowing quite how that's going to shape their lives and shape their expression, their contribution in the world. And so, yeah, soak in it as long as you want to. Let it germinate. You know by the sensory feel of it. This is stuff you don't use your logical brain to decide about. You feel the flow of it. And if the flow is germinate, soak it all in, take it easy, then that's the perfect thing at the moment. And if the feeling is go for it, then that's the perfect thing at the moment. It will all come at its right and perfect time. There's no doubt about it, which is really exciting to me. So, okay, there you go. I better stop. I better stop now talking. Okie doke, everybody. That's it for today. It's been a delight being with you. So, good luck with your genius flow. Bye.